Hi, everyone, and welcome to Heal Endometriosis Naturally with Wendy K Laidlaw. Wendy has spent the last 2 years helping women with various stages of endometriosis to heal naturally after putting her condition into remission. After her own healing success from stage 4 endometriosis and adenomyosis, she's inspired to heal others, and her goal is to help some of the 175 million women know that there is another way other than painkillers, drugs, or surgery. This is the place to be for real talk with real people for real results, so you can learn how to heal your endometriosis naturally. Please note that the opinions expressed in this program may represent options, but are not a substitute for proper medical care. Before starting any new healthcare program, we recommend you consult with a health professional.
Hey everyone, it's Wendy K Laidlaw, and as always, I do hope that this message finds you well today. It's been a wee while since I've been on, so thank you for bearing with me, but as the title depicts, lately it has been rough. I decided to take the time that I needed to do what I needed to do and pay attention to the things that needed attention. So the last few months have brought their challenges, as life does, but also secret blessings. It has been rough. There have been major growth pains, times where I felt a little lost in the dark. Some days I wasn't sure where I was going in life and why. That's the thing when you keep growing. You keep reasserting and realigning where you're going and why you're doing it. But I always had my pen and paper to hand to help guide me through. For that tool, I shall always be grateful. And I have to say, I do worry about those who do not put ink on paper every day. What must their mind be like? I know that I have parts of me that when I'm a little more tired than usual, because I've had the rare, beautiful opportunity of inviting a 11-week-old bundle of fluff into our family, and that meant being up every few hours during the night as the toilet training began, to start to run away with themselves. These parts have energies of their own. Sometimes they create seeds of doubt, little worries, little niggles, concerns about certainty and uncertainty. But when I remember to come out of my head and my mind and back into my body and or onto the paper, all is always rebalanced. Of course, at times when you are training a Labrador puppy and navigating its new environment and upset tummy, foundations sometimes feel a little shaken up. This is where I find the concept of parts, different elements of our personality, helpful to discern and distinguish between. For example, the pusher part in me has always been to the forefront. It's my main aim to keep me moving forward, upward and onward. After decades of endometriosis and languishing in bed with a hot water bottle to my abdomen, ever since putting it into remission and having the freedom from pain and no longer living in a fearful body, one recognises how much of life there is to live. Yet the perfectionist part, the partners, the pusher and the driver part, to make sure that not only am I moving forward but doing it perfectly. That part almost killed me at points in the past, but no more. All the parts, of course, must be balanced to allow peace, calm, serenity and joy into one's life. I used to think that busyness was next to godliness, that if I was not busy then I was not enough. Just like cleanliness was next to godliness. If my home was not spotless and clean, like the Queen was coming to visit, then I could not settle. I used to think that not helping enough or being always available enough, then I'd be punished by that God figure I was brought up to believe in. I look back and can see clearly why I had myself tied in knots of not enoughness as a person and not doing enough and not enough of enough. It's hard to keep all of the people happy all of the time, and your happiness sometimes feels like a pipe dream. But of course, that was then, and this is now. And I feel so lucky to know about the power of writing, pen on paper, and also having such a hunger for reading. There is a great saying that says you will be the same person in the next 5 years, except for the people you meet and the books you read. And I have to admit, books have changed my life. That's why it was so important for me to write my books, so that you could be inspired by my story and know what I was capable of. But reading other people's stories, other books and ideas, they allowed seeds to grow. They allowed old patterns to gently be renewed, outdated beliefs to be upgraded, just like we upgrade our iPhone regularly, to support the me I wanted to be and the life I wanted to live. So, as I say, when times get tough, I turn to the paper. I find it so frustrating when my pen runs out, so I have many pens in bags, drawers, and desks, always around me. So when I can't see a way through, I move my pen through across the page and pour ink onto the paper. When someone or something troubles me, upsets me, bothers me, triggers me, or evokes emotions I prefer not to have, I make sure to put it on paper so that I can keep developing the observer part of me, which is still a fairly new part. Of course, it's not easy the first few times you feel the emotions and want to distract or busy or numb yourself in a way that you've been used to doing for decades. Of course, it's hard. But the best outcomes come from the hardest challenges. Well, that's been my experience anyway. Starting small with half a page or a full page, but ideally 3 pages every morning, is the key for when you wake. If you're listening to this podcast and still in pain, then the writing will help guide you to which of the 5 poisons or the 5 Ps of what elements of the 5 Ps is upsetting your body. Because this type of trust and introspection is not taught in schools or by elders anymore. It is natural for it to feel odd and uncomfortable at the beginning, alien even. Trust is a big thing. Trusting in yourself may have been lost decades ago if you'd even found it, when you were taught to be a good girl, in inverted commas, or to sit quietly, or to please everyone, and detach from your real self, for fear of listening to what that real self or selves were telling you. Trust comes when you learn to listen to your body in a safe and gentle way and learn to write down what comes up without question, shame, or guilt. Any writing you do must be kept super private. Do not under any circumstances share your thoughts or feelings from a journal with a partner or a friend or indeed a therapist or counsellor. I can't stress that enough. I heard some horror stories recently that a therapist or counsellor for one of our clients wanted to see our client's journal. Do not share your journal. To build up trust in yourself, your writings must be kept for your eyes only. Keep your journal locked in a cabinet or in a safe. If people around you become nosy about what you're writing about, then deflect with statements like, I'm writing down all my ailments, or I'm exploring my creative side, or I'm keeping a track of what is happening in my body. History has taught me most people are not interested in reading about such topics. Equally, if someone did find your journal and read it, make sure that you're mad. Do not accept anyone breaching or disrespecting your privacy on anything, on everything that has been written down on your journal. Make sure to own it. It is your right to write down anything about anyone, good, bad, or ugly. It is for your eyes only, and had they not breached your privacy in the first place, they would not have seen what you had written about them. Literally, it's none of their business. If you're with a toxic person or persons, they may try to twist events or words against you, so do not allow it. Stay firm, stay true, and stay aligned to the greater you. If there is one thing this EndoBoss journey has taught me, is to listen to my instincts and intuition above all else. Some odd woman said to me recently, do you not find it exhausting listening to your instincts and intuition? And I was surprised, given the nature of her work, that she would even say such a thing. I responded, it was harder and more exhausting before trying to ignore my instincts and intuition. There's a phrase, ignore your instincts at your peril, and I live by that now. The only way to truly learn to listen to you in all of your parts is to journal every single day, and ideally first thing in the morning. Here are some who credit journaling for changing their lives. Many famous people, alive or dead, have embraced the practice of journaling every morning for reflection, creativity, and productivity. For example, Marcus Aurelius, a famous Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, is famous for his personal journaling, his later published as Meditations. He used journaling as a tool for moral improvement and managing stresses of leadership. Leonardo da Vinci. Da Vinci kept extensive notebooks filled with sketches and observations and musings. His journaling helped him process ideas, innovation in both art and science. He was a genius. Benjamin Franklin maintained a daily journal, especially in the mornings, to plan his day, reflect on self-improvement, and track his personal progress towards virtues he wanted to cultivate. Virginia Woolf, the writer, used journaling as a space to process her thoughts, work through emotional difficulties, and develop ideas for her very famous novels. Frida Kahlo was a renowned Mexican painter, known for her deeply personal and symbolic self-portraits, who also kept a personal journal to record her thoughts, emotions, and dreams, which became an important part of her creative process. Then we have people like Oprah Winfrey. Oprah journals every morning as a way of setting her intentions, practicing gratitude, and reflecting on life. She credits journaling with helping her maintain clarity and focus. The famous author Ryan Holiday, the modern Stoic professor and author of The Daily Stoic, has adapted the morning journaling habit to reflect on these principles, focus on daily intentions, and manage his thoughts. The author Julia Cameron, who is the author of The Artist Way, it was initially the influence on me to start journaling, and which also helped to kickstart her creativity and connection to nature. And lastly, Winston Churchill, who was a prolific writer throughout his life, writing which played a significant role in his routine as Prime Minister. There are so many benefits of journaling, from mental clarity and focus, helping you get clear of mental clutter, from emotional regulation, writing down your thoughts and feelings and emotions, which helps process them and reduce stress, creativity and problem solving. So many prominent thinkers and artists use journaling as a tool to spark creativity and develop ideas. Free flow writing can uncover amazing insights and solutions to problems you didn't know that there were solutions for. Self-awareness, personal growth. Journaling again promotes this incredible self-reflection that allows you to come inward and listen to that quiet voice, helping you track your progress, identify patterns and behavior perhaps that you're not comfortable with. And of course, for our perfectionist, pusher and driver parts, journaling actually helps increase productivity. It helps you get your priorities right for the morning, creates accountability for yourself, and enhances your focus and motivation for the day. It also increases awareness. And if you've heard me talk about this before, I believe the secret to life is balance, and the secret to balance is awareness, and the secret to awareness is through journaling and meditation. So journaling for me paved the way to separate out and make sense of a number of things that made no sense recently. For example, in terms of our culture and conditioning, I realised what I have grown up in and been taught did not work for my high degree of sensitivity emotionally and physically. I would walk down the high streets, and pick up and feel others' energy as my own. I would anticipate someone's actions before they did it. I would intuitively understand someone's ulterior motives and leanings ahead of it being revealed. But that sensitivity felt like a double-edged sword, a blessing and a curse, to be so aware and so perceptive and sensitive. But through the writing, I did finally learn it was a gift, all this sensitivity. Supersensitivity is a secret strength. But what happened one morning when I was journaling 18 months ago was interesting. I was upset this morning. I was filled with a temporary despair at a situation and a person. I could feel all these whys popping into my head and pour onto the paper. Why does this Western society not celebrate sensitive people? I asked in my journal. Why do non-empaths seem to trample over the sensitives without any recourse or concern? Why is more not taught to children at a younger age to help those super sensitive kids learn how to protect themselves emotionally and spiritually from toxic others, even if it is their family? And that's when I got the spark of an idea. And that's when I started my illustrated children's book, what I call another one of my book babies. But Ella the Emotional Eaglet was born. I started to write a story, or more of a story of rhyme about Ella the Emotional Eaglet, that about how she was a super sensitive little eaglet who grew up in a farmyard around mean chickens. She felt different. She felt alone. She tried so hard to please everybody, but she was bullied and mistreated and felt terribly sad. However, she finds an old notebook and starts to journal, and ultimately meets new friends and learns how to fly. And the most important message being that she did not have to put up with mistreatment, and learns to become empowered, finding herself, her own self, and then goes on to help others. I drew out initial concept drawings. I had this exciting idea of how I would embrace this whole concept of teaching young children, young girls, so that before they go through adolescence and hit adulthood, and then they've developed all these patterns of behaviour that don't serve them. Had I not been journaling every morning for the past 10 years, I would not have been able to write and publish any of the 7 paperback books I've written. Had I not been journaling every morning for the past 10 years, I would not have been able to create the 12 online programs and podcasts. Had I not been journaling every morning, I would not have been able to help other women become free from endometriosis and also learn how to fly. I think the numbers are now in the tens of thousands of women. I refer to my book publications, as I say, as giving birth to my book babies. So much time and thought and effort and love and energy goes into these self-published binded books because, as mentioned earlier, I understand the power of books, the power of words, the written words, the transferring of essential information that can be digested just before you go to sleep at the end of a busy day and mulled over and reread and implemented as needed. With my children's book, I want to empower and teach children as early as possible to learn to trust their own instincts and intuition at a young age, before they hit that turbulent teens and that tumultuous 20s, when so much is happening in their body and life as they head into adulthood. I do not believe that life is about suffering. I genuinely don't. I think life is supposed to be about sensing, witnessing, observing and experiencing. Not holed up in bed for 7 to 8 days a month, writhing around in pain. Not alone because you're surrounded by insensitive, toxic others. And not feeling different because no one understands your pain emotionally or physically, especially when it's endometriosis. Writing and reading have changed my life and help offer light and bright alternatives when all looked bleak and black. Writing and reading helped expand my mind into what might be possible. Writing and reading gently allowed for exploration of thoughts and feelings and emotions that once were far too scary to even look at. So back to Daisy. So when I got our beautiful furry bundle called Daisy, who is almost like a little furry piranha with legs, she has these little gnashing teeth, I decided I would reread some articles and books to refresh my mind on how to best support her in her new home. She will be my 3rd chocolate Labrador. We still have Poppy, who is 4 years old, but I recognise that when you're starting all over again, it's important to refresh your memory. Especially as she came to me with a terribly upset tummy and was constantly rushing to the garden in a very urgent state about every 20 minutes or so. I live in a lovely old apartment block in Edinburgh. It was built in 1869, so it has no lift. We're on the 2nd floor, and this apartment, we have to go up and down these lovely stone stairs, so I was certainly getting my work out. In my journal, every morning, I was writing about how worried I was about her. I had this new, beautiful little furry responsibility in my life, and she did not seem very well. Then I recalled through my writing that the breeder had reassured me as I sat down into the passenger seat of the car and held her tightly in my arms that, quote, a runny tummy and signs of blood were normal, end quote. As I wrote, my instincts were alerted. In my experience of my own body and working with hundreds of other women personally, digestive issues of that nature are not a good sign and a sign of an irritated intestinal tract. So what was coming into her body to cause such distress? So over a few days, I wrote and wrote more. I decided that I fed Daisy the quantity and the brand of food I was advised to do so by this breeder. She had been a breeder for 25 years. I initially trusted her. But in my journal, it came up to go and check the ingredients. Of course, I checked the ingredients and noticed immediately it was filled. These hard little bits of food were grain and wheat based. And if you've been following me for a while, you know that I advise to avoid wheat and swap it out with gluten-free products. My older dog, Poppy, is on a grain-free dog food, which she absolutely loves. And she also has a very sensitive little tummy, but of course is now settled after changing her food and it being without wheat. So I changed to Poppy's equivalent of puppy food for little Daisy, but poor Daisy was still not well. Then, through the journaling, I noticed I was getting more and more mad. How could a breeder feed a young 11-week-old puppy some dried, hard and compacted food with abrasive substances that would be causing her such distress? I recalled how my older chocolate lab, Ginty, who passed away many years ago now, was fed right at the beginning of her life raw meat called tripe as a pup until she was at least 6 to 8 months old. So I went online and purchased some lovely quality raw puppy food, basically raw chicken and mince, mashed up with some mashed potatoes, and some cooked rice as well. The first signs that Daisy was on the mend appeared on the grass a few days later. She was starting to look a bit more relaxed. There was no urgency, there was no distress, and there was no more blood. And it hit me again at how crazy our culture has got to feed a underdeveloped intestinal tract dried and hard abrasive food just for convenience. That little pup was in great distress. Had I taken her to the vets, they would have put her on various medication and anti-inflammatories, and yet the root cause of Daisy's distress would not have been addressed. This is another powerful example of journaling. Had I not been journaling, and of course the sleep-deprived endless trips up and down the stairs for toilet visits, I suspect it might not have occurred to me. Yet a similar situation happened with my son about 20 years ago. His skin developed severe eczema that was very red and angry and was so bad on his legs he used to cry every time he walked as the red and raw skin rubbed against each other. I went to the doctors. Their recommendation was to go on anti-inflammatories. Yet the solution lay in simply swapping out cow's milk for just goat's milk. So whether it's a dog or a child or your own body, make sure to listen to that small voice in the back of your head. Allow yourself to start to trust it and become friends with it rather than jump onto social media or Google or Netflix or into toxic toads that leap around you. Not many people are open to change, and I hope that if you're listening to this podcast that you are, because the changes that need to be made sometimes are small and can take time to be seen. But even in something like a little puppy whose intestinal tract is so sensitive, in just a matter of days, we've been able to turn her health around. And the same goes for yourself or anyone else in your family. But equally beware of those who don't want to change and don't want you to change. I heard of a parable the other day And it's a parable of a frog that sits at the bottom of a deep, dry well, which is slimy, disgusting, dark, and filled with scorpions and snakes. And the frog learns to jump from rock to rock and live in fear and survive at all. One day, he looks up from the well into the sunshine at the top, as another frog looks down and says, "Hey, you should come up here. It's beautiful up here. We've got a lily pad. We can catch flies and we can eat all day. It's blissful up here," he says to the frog at the bottom. But the frog at the bottom says, "That's not reality, so leave me alone." And it seems there is a common theme with many people who are trapped in a limiting and painful situation, like the frog at the bottom of the well, and are resistant to change or imagine a better reality, represented by the frog in the sunshine. It's a metaphor for different perspectives on life, often used to illustrate how limited experiences can shape our understanding of reality. So lately it's been rough, but of course I'm better. My family are all well, healthy and happy. My little furry pets are now all well, bouncing and gregarious and filled with the joys of life. And my health, I still have everything in remission and continues to amaze me. Equally, more women come through the EndoBoss Academy, leaving with pain-free bodies, and have no pain and a new empowering mindset and recognizing their worth and value. What more could one ask for? And I guess that was the question that popped up in my journal, was how could I prevent or at least implement a way of introducing the power of journaling to children at a younger age so they don't have to grow up to be in pain, to help children bypass the pain, for example, of endometriosis and maybe even emotional distress and depression. And hence why Ella the Eaglet, my book baby, goes live and is available for purchase on a Kickstarter, which is a creative backing project, where I'm hoping to get this book into children's hospitals, children's schools, into the hands of parents and libraries and teachers around the world to help inspire and empower super sensitive children to recognize that they have a secret strength. So wherever you are on your journey, recognize your worth. Recognize the time that you need to take to listen to yourself so that you can start a journaling practice that can really help to guide you back into yourself. So start small, keep it simple, and journaling will soon become a natural and rewarding part of your routine and your life. Make sure to grab your journal, write what feels right, and let it grow from there. And who knows, you might have your own little children's book one day. I will be putting details down below if you want to back this project of Ella the Emotional Eaglet. And lastly, it's that time of year again when the EndoBoss Academy opens up for applications, and they are now open. So make sure to go to healendometriosisnaturally.com/programs and apply for the Academy, which is only open for a few days and will be taking applications shortly. In the meantime, as always, please do take care of yourself. Remember your value, remember your worth. Remember to journal, meditate, have your power shakes, identify the 5 Ps, and know that if you're listening to this, then I'm talking to that small voice at the back of you, A, to never give up, and B, to keep going. Because if I can come back from where I've come back from and still remain symptom-free and pain-free 8 years down the line, then I know you can too. So until the next time, look after yourself and to your health.
Thanks for listening to Heal Endometriosis Naturally with Wendy K Laidlaw, and I hope you enjoyed the show. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and rate us. If you're interested in learning more, you can download your top 5 jumpstart tips at healendometriosisnaturally.com and jump on the VIP email list. Remember to keep you number one. The world needs a healthy you.